What's up, witches? It's Luna here with a very quick look at the chart for the new moon coming up on July 9th, 2021. This is the new moon in Cancer, and it's going to be a very quick reading because it's a pretty simple chart. Starting down here with the elements and modes, we have a strong predominance of water. We've got two planets in Pisces, two in Cancer, but the two that are in Cancer are the sun and the moon, so that sticks it way out ahead of the other elements. We're dealing with the emotional here. Down below, we have a predominance of cardinal, but it's closely followed by fixed. Mutable comes in pretty short. So what this is saying, of course, with every new moon, it's an opportunity to start something new. And with fixity backing that up so strongly, because cardinal is initiating, it is starting things new. With fixity coming in there strong, it just says then we can see it through. So whatever project we're starting, whatever spell work we're kicking off, whatever, anything we're starting at this new moon, we will also have the stubbornness to see it through to its conclusion, and that's always a good thing. What do we want to kick off with a Cancer new moon? Anything that's Cancer related or fourth house related. So fourth house is real estate. It's your physical home or any properties that you're looking at purchasing, whether your home, whether you own it or rent it, but also anything that you would purchase. So real estate in that regard as well. It also talks about our emotional underpinnings, our foundation, what the emotional climate was in our early home life. So in general, Cancer energy is about nurturing. It's how you care for yourself on every level, not just on the emotional level as is indicated by a water sign, but also on the physical level. Cancer does rule the stomach. It rules any containers in the body. So breasts, bladder, and stomach are the big ones. And so we're talking about food and how we feed ourselves and, the water that we drink. So basic questions here are, do I drink enough water? What are my habits around my self-nurturing, around taking care of myself? How do I feed myself? How do I care for my body? Do I have any stomach issues? How do I care for my home? But mostly just how do I care for myself? So this is the perfect time to kick off any healthcare regimen, a diet, drinking more water. It's a great time to look at moving or getting into a new home, purchasing a new home, of course, depending on where this falls in your chart. And, here's where I'm going to call to mind for you the cycles that occur in our natal charts. One of the things that you can do with the new and full moon cycles is look back and understand that every summer when there's a new moon in Cancer, it hits me in this house. Now, if you're doing anything other than whole sign, which I do not recommend you do whole sign charts, they're fudged charts in my estimation. But if you're using a Placidus chart, which is the majority of Western astrologers use Placidus, you're going to have house cusps falling in the middle of a sign somewhere. Yes, people do have house cusps that fall very neatly at the beginning of a sign. But for the majority of us, we've got house cusps that fall somewhere in the middle of that sign. So look at where Cancer is in your chart and what two houses are involved with the sign of Cancer, contain the sign of Cancer. And then knowing the degree of the new moon going off, that will tell you which house is being affected. You're also going to want to look at, most particularly, the house that is ruled by Cancer. So let's say that I've got my ascendant in Cancer and it is at 10 degrees Cancer. That means that following that 10 degrees, all the degrees higher than that are going to be in my first house. Houses follow the cusps, which is the line showing the start of that house. Houses follow the cusps in a counterclockwise direction. So if you've got 10 degrees of Cancer rising, the degrees of Cancer after that are going to be first house. So this new moon would fall in your first house. That rules your physical body. All right. You would also have to include the 12th house a little bit, especially, if the new moon were to fall in your 12th house, so 0 to 10 degrees of Cancer, then that house is what's going to be focused. But you're looking at which house is ruled by Cancer and where this new moon actually sits to see, how to make the most out of this. Looking at other aspects, there aren't many in this chart because since we're looking at transits, we give it a bare 2-degree orb. The only thing that's really in aspect is this Venus-Uranus square. We don't even have the effect of the Saturn-Uranus square anymore. It is separating now, and in this chart it is nearly 3 degrees apart, so I'm not even going to consider that. But Uranus squaring Venus, I'm not including Mars in the square to Uranus because that's also a 3-degree separation, and that's too much. But Mars square Uranus can bring some super exciting times. Venus is ruling Uranus as it sits in Taurus, so it is the stronger planet in this configuration. And Venus, of course, rules our affections and how we show them. Pleasure of all sorts, just enjoyment we get out of life, everything that is a sensual pleasure. It's also our value system. It's also romance. And so you square Uranus with it, and Uranus is terribly exciting. People might be feeling the itch around this new moon. If you are looking to catalyze excitement in your relationship, this would be a perfect time to do some spell work, because Venus and Uranus can talk about lightning striking in terms of love and romance. Of course, it's a square, so you could talk about it causing problems here and things being not long term, although it's in fixed signs, so that could go either way. But being a square, being a square, it generates energy. So definitely some hot, sexy times available on this new moon. What else was I looking at here? Chiron is sextiling Saturn. We've been talking about this for a while as well. Chiron Saturn sextile just says when we take responsibility for our own state of being, we have opportunities to really heal old wounds. Those are the only ones I'm really going to talk about. Even the what looks like a Pluto-Mercury inconjunct here is just too wide to consider. It's, it's just, okay, it is within the 2 degrees, but an inconjunct is a pretty minor aspect. The adjustment here would have to be between our willpower and communication, how we communicate that with Mercury and Gemini. How do we communicate what we really want and what we will do, So if our communication style has been a little bit forceful, then we can make adjustments for that. Being that they are in aspect for this, I think, Pluto-Mercury is always a good configuration for spell work, because it will allow you to really put the words together, and the Pluto is the magical oomph behind it. So, okay, this new moon is at 18 degrees, if I hadn't mentioned that before, 18 degrees and 1 minute of Cancer. So, and it's at 9:16 p.m. in the Eastern time zone, so please adjust for your own time zone. I hope you got something out of that. Certainly time to enjoy the richness, the abundance, the juice of summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. All of that water says summer is juicy, and we can really wamp up a lot of emotional energy around whatever we want to kick off on this new moon. So think of how you can best take care of yourself, how you can best enjoy the deliciousness of summer, and give it a good kickoff on the 9th. All right, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. This is Luna, the Zen Witch. Blessed be.